If you're thinking about opening an offshore bank account for a Dubai foundation, it might look straightforward, but it is often more complicated than you can expect. Many clients run into delays, extra document requests, or even rejection because of small mistakes or changing rules. In this video, I'll show you the 7 biggest mistakes that people make when trying to open an offshore account for a Dubai foundation. You will find out what banks are really looking for, what causes the most trouble, and how to get accounts approved faster by avoiding these common mistakes. Before we start, my name is Shiraz Baid and I'm the founder at LepidusWealth, where we help clients and families protect their assets using a range of tools including trust, foundations, wills, and offshore structures. So if you own a business or real estate, don't wait until a legal or health crisis to start thinking about protecting what you have built. Instead, request your free and customized asset protection plan by clicking the link below. You can then implement it step by step as your journey progresses. The first and easily the most common mistake is assuming that every reputable offshore bank is ready and willing to accept Dubai foundations. The reality is much more restrictive. Most international banks maintain highly selective onboarding lists and regularly review their appetite for foundation structures, especially those established under the Dubai law. Even if a bank appears in the ranking for offshore bank accounts, there is no guarantee that it has compliance frameworks or institutional knowledge to onboard a Dubai foundation efficiently. Often, a lack of knowledge can mean weeks of information request and eventually a quiet refusal. It's always advisable to work with institutions that have verifiable history of onboarding Dubai foundations and check that their policies have not changed in the past 12 months. Otherwise, you could easily find yourself investing significant efforts only for the door to be quietly closed at the final stage. Another major mistake when opening the offshore accounts is underestimating the intensity and depth of the due diligence process. In today's compliance landscape, offshore banks are often compelled to conduct highly detailed KYC, that is, know your customer. They will need much more than basic foundation charter. Expect to provide full supporting documentation for the source of foundation's assets, evidence of tax compliance for all connected parties, and the rationale behind the structure, as well as transparent disclosures of every beneficiary and controlling party. It's not uncommon for the bank's compliance department to request tax returns, contracts of sales, professional background details, and even explanation for past transactions that involves the founder or council members. Many clients, especially those with existing private banking relationships, assume that their account manager would simply add on a Dubai Foundation account. In practice, the foundation is treated as an entirely new entity, and the onboarding process starts from the scratch. Coming prepared with an exhaustive supporting evidence not only speeds up onboarding but can also prevent your file from being flagged for enhanced review or escalation. The third common mistake when opening a foundation's bank account is presenting an overly generic or vague activity profile for the foundation. Offshore banks need to understand the legitimate economic function of the entity that they are onboarding, especially for the foundations. Describing your activities as asset protection or investment holding without further details raise concerns and slow down compliance. Instead, you should articulate the actual business rationale behind the foundation's structure, what assets it holds, where those assets originate, and what kind of transactions will occur, and why offshore account is necessarily for the foundation's objectives. For example, if the foundation will receive investment income from several jurisdictions, specify this and outline the expected counterparties and the flow. An imprecise or overly broad description can lead to an immediate compliance review, or worse, a refusal to open the bank account. Another closely related issue is the documentation alignment. Many applicants overlook the need to adapt Dubai based documents to meet the international banking standards. Even though Dubai's legal framework is world class, differences in documentation style, terminology, or signature protocol can confuse an offshore bank's compliance team, especially in Europe or Asia, where procedures may differ considerably. Banks may ask for specific proof of founders' involvement, clear identification of all council members, or beneficiary register formatted according to their jurisdiction's expectation. Well, before submission, you need to make sure to have all the documentation reviewed by a professional who understands both Dubai and the targeted offshore banking country, ensuring that the structure, wording, and supporting evidence are easily understood and globally recognizable. This greatly improves your approval odds and shortens the onboarding time. Mistake number 5 is failing to anticipate the local substance requirements in offshore banking country. Over the past few years, many jurisdictions have dramatically increased their focus on substance. That is, requiring real links of business presence within the country to justify an offshore account. This can mean appointing a local director, leasing a small office, hiring a registered agent, or showing evidence of investment activities in that jurisdiction. Some high tier banks will only open accounts for foundations with an active business relationship in their country. Simply relying on Dubai's reputation and global reach is really sufficient today. If these requirements are not met or explained upfront, applications may be delayed, rejected, or routed to less attractive banking options. The sixth mistake, and the one that has grown significantly in recent years, is not preparing thoroughly for automatic tax transparency and global reporting. Today, virtually every reputable offshore bank participates in agreements like CRS, that is the Common Reporting Standard, which means your Dubai's foundation's information can and will be shared automatically with relevant tax authorities in any of the participating countries that you are a resident of. The idea that offshore means secrecy is now a myth, and acting on that assumption can cause serious legal and reputational risks for your family and your enterprise. Always work with your advisors to chart out every jurisdiction that might receive information about your foundation and ensure your compliance trail is clear before the first application is submitted. Proactive transparency is far more effective than trying to solve issues after the fact. A final and extremely costly error is waiting until the end of the process to bring in professionals who deal with Dubai Foundation banking applications every month. Even the best lawyers and accountants can lack direct insights into more recent bank policy shift, compliance documentation requests, or best practice onboarding strategies in the offshore centers. There is simply no substitute for an advisor who has hands-on experience with Dubai Foundation banking, who can troubleshoot at the pre-application stage, avoid the pitfalls that lead to silent declines, and ensure your process is managed with the correct compliance mindset from day one. Their involvement can mean the difference between 6 weeks onboarding and a 6 months onboarding process. Opening an offshore bank account for a Dubai Foundation, if done properly, remains one of the most sophisticated and future-proof ways to safeguard and internationalize your assets, plan for succession, or manage cross-border holdings. The complexity of the process shouldn't be underestimated, but by being aware of these key mistakes and working with the right partners, you can confidently access the world's best private banking solution for your foundations. So, if you're ready for a personalized, up-to-date guidance on which offshore banks are welcoming to the Dubai's foundation right now, or if you want your documentation reviewed before submitting an application, you can request a confidential, tailored plan at the link below. As I mentioned earlier, if you own a business or real estate, don't wait for legal or health crisis to start thinking about protecting your wealth. Many people think asset protection is only for ultra wealthy. But the reality is that some of these solutions cost as much as setting up a free zone company in Dubai. If you want to secure what you have built and ensure your legacy, you can request your free and customized asset protection plan by clicking the link in the description below. And if you're serious about building long-term financial security, you should really check out my next video right here.